Hi, and welcome to the Bright Minds of E-commerce podcast. Today is a little bit of a special day for me because it is in fact Bright Red Marketing's 16th birthday and our first year as a company. Now, by the time you listen to this, it will be a couple of weeks old, so don't listen to wish us a happy birthday. But what I wanted to do was share my 16 lessons that I have learned after 16 years in business. And to be honest, that feels quite a little bit wild to say, but thank you for the journey. And I'm excited to dive into the biggest lessons I've had in my 16 years of business.
Hi, and welcome to the Bright Minds of E-commerce podcast. I'm Dahna, founder of Bright Red Marketing, and I created this podcast because I wanted to bring you the best advice from Australian experts in e-commerce and e-commerce store owners. If you're wanting relatable stories and actionable advice, as well as the latest Facebook advertising strategies, you're in the right place. So let's get into today's episode.
The first one, number one, you aren't for everyone, and that's okay. Now, I am a perpetual people pleaser, and this one's been a hard one for me to learn. When I first started out in business, I was very much doing any marketing for anyone who needed me. I'm here to help you. What we have learned over that time, thanks to some lovely education, wonderful peers, those sorts of things, is that it's okay for your business to only be for certain people and not for others. In the last week alone, we've had a couple of different businesses reach out that are like, "Hi, can you help us with with our ads?" And I am now in the very privileged position and the very good position of being able to say, we're not for you, but I can recommend some people that are. And whether you're an e-commerce business or a service-based business or whatever your business is, it's okay for you to not serve everyone. In fact, I think it's a good thing. Number two, kind of relevant to that point. Taking on the wrong clients will cost you more than turning them away. Again, I really like helping people. I did not start this business as a money grab. I did not start this business because I did really like marketing, but it was very much, I like helping people. So when I couldn't help people, I still tried to help people. And that's not always the best thing to do. So if your product doesn't serve everyone, if you're a service business, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, look, this is not for us. And it is okay to just let that be. The next big lesson is that you cannot do this alone. Business is lonely. Business is hard. Things change, and it is just so nice to have really good support, really good people around you, whether that's a team, whether that's a friend and family circle, or whether you find a bunch of colleagues. Having people around you really, really makes all the world of difference. And I would say that this is a two-part thing. There is not doing this alone and having that support network and having people to bounce ideas off and having a really good support system. And I would also say in that having a really good team and, other service providers that help you. I could not do this without my accountant. I could not do this without the amazing team that I have. I could not do this without, Em and the guys at Sparrow Studio who just redid our website and redid our branding and kind of changed the way we thought about business. Business is hard. 16 years in, business is hard. So having people in your corner, whether they're paid people, whether they're friends, if you don't have friends, make friends. If you need to pay people to, provide that support. I was in masterminds for ages. Some were free, some were paid, just to find connection and people to really support you in that business journey. You can't do this alone. You just can't. So go find some people and keep them close. Sort of in a similar vein is you can't be the smartest person in the room. Now, I don't mean this in a egotistical, I'm big-headed kind of way, but in a, if you are the smartest person in the room, if you are the furthest ahead in business, it is really hard to be successful and grow if you don't have other people and other ideas because you are the one that has progressed the furthest. And this one was a hard one for me because I was in a mastermind for a while with a really, really great group of people. And at that time, we were all freelancers and it was amazing. We could really, really bounce ideas off each other. It was fabulous. And then I started growing my team. And I don't mean that I was the smartest person in the room and that I have this amazing way with, people management or anything, but it became that all of these experiences that I was then having, no one had any reference points for. So be in rooms with people who had managed teams, who were running teams, those sorts of things was just wild for me because now I was very much the dumbest person in the room. And to be fair, that is my favorite place to be because you can just learn so much from people. So I think if you are surrounded by people that are maybe less far ahead in business, I would recommend getting into some different rooms occasionally just so that you can get those those little nuggets of information that are just so valuable when you're trying to grow a business. My fifth lesson, hire slowly. Someone told me this very, very early days. It probably took me a really, really long time to make my first hire. And I've always been so nervous hiring people because it is such a massive part of growing a business. It's such a big thing. And I am so incredibly grateful for this advice because the women that are on our team, if you've had the pleasure of working with us, you know, they are incredible. And I'm so grateful for the team that we have built. It's become a family. Like if you've had a conversation with us, like we really do integrate into being part of the business family. And that is only been because we hire so slowly and we're so careful about who we hire. The other part of that is to fire quickly. Thankfully, I've never had to be that person. But I do think that it's warranted. I mean, the people on your team are so valuable to your business that having the right people just is so important. Number 6, your niche is wildly important. We did touch on this earlier, but I will just say the day that I decided to be Meta Ads and digital marketing for e-commerce was an absolute pivotal point for our business. It is such a good position to be in to go, this is what we do. This is who we do it for. And we are really bloody good at it. We have businesses of all kinds reach out wanting our help because they see the work that we do. And it's really nice to be in a position of going, look, we probably could help you. We probably could get you a half decent result, but I know that we're going to do a much better result for the businesses that are e-commerce, that are selling a physical product. There's e-commerce that do digital products. I won't touch it. You know, we have a really good system and structure and skill set in this one thing, and being able to amplify that knowledge and really focus on it. And any education we do is all around that really, really makes a big difference. Now, obviously, that's us. We're a digital marketing agency. That's fine. But the same would go for if you're selling a beauty product, if you're selling homewares. I think there's a lot of e-commerce businesses that try and be everything to everyone. You know, you might sell a really simple product, but because you're trying to sell that simple product to such a broad range of people, it's really hard to sort of narrow that down. So I think, especially if you're starting out, being able to be really clear about who your product is for just makes selling that product so much easier. It's so much easier to sell this really niche product to this really niche group of people rather than selling this product that's quite broad to everyone, because you're not going to get that emotional connection. It's so much harder to get. And number 7, if you listen to our lovely podcast episode with Jess, Jess talks about this a lot, but spending time working on the business, not just in it. Now, this is a lesson I am still learning, but we get very in the trenches with business. And we're just sort of putting out fires and dealing with things and problem solving and those sorts of things and like getting really stuck in the day to day. And this applies to literally everyone in business. I don't care if you're an e-commerce business, service-based business, there has to be time that you're actually working on the business, not just in it. And so many times I look at that and go, oh no, I am. Like I'm doing the thing. And then I step back and, you know, do an exercise where I go, okay, what are the things I need to be doing to grow the business versus what are the things I need to be doing in the business? And one of those lists is always bigger. And it's not the growing the business list. I will say that. I'm working on it. But I think the more that we can focus on actually growing the business rather than just like being there. And again, that's where getting help helps. So make sure, even if it's just like an hour or two, spend some time working on the business. It really, really does help. Number 8, know your numbers. We are data nerds. That is what we do, but I'm a data nerd who hates math. So go figure with that one. But knowing the numbers of your business is just game changing. The book Profit First was probably my real first awakening into how important the number side of things was. Before that, I was like, oh, I'm making money. That's great. But being able to like really pull it apart and see where that was going is really, really important. And we know that for our e-commerce clients specifically, when we start to go into some of those numbers, start to do some of that analysis, that's where they really get really good results. I mean, one of our biggest clients at the moment, they came to us because they weren't growing new customers. We took one look at the data and we're like, well, you're spending too much money here on this and this and this, and this is set up wrong. And it's not that it's set up wrong generally. If that's what you want, the numbers in that are not delivering what you need. So being really clear on your margins and your profit and your expenses is really helpful, but also knowing like your new versus returning customer rates. Where is your money going? You know, the breakdowns in Meta, like there are so many different numbers that we need to keep an eye on and keep track of. Really knowing those numbers for anyone in business is just so important. And regularly checking in. You can't just look at these numbers once every 6 months or once a year and go, yep, cool. Like, it has to be a regular thing that you're looking at those numbers and going, okay, how can I do this better? Are we on track? Are we managing this? There are a couple of big players in the industry at the moment, I won't name names, that are telling people to look at their numbers on a daily basis. I don't necessarily agree. Depends on how big your business is. If you're big enough, you probably can. But there is a lot of nuance and there is a lot that can get lost when you're looking at things that granularly, that I think become overwhelming and you're potentially not making the greatest decisions. I think sometimes being able to take a step back and look at the bigger picture is far more valuable for your business than getting really, really granular into some really nitpicky details. So just word of caution. Let's step back. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the goals, the strategies, the bottlenecks, the things we're focusing on business and how we can grow those. And then let's look at those numbers so that we're looking at the right things. Talking about numbers, number 9, a good accountant is worth their weight in gold. Now, I had a lovely accountant. He was fabulous. He was my mum and dad's accountant. He's a lovely man. He's grown his business very successfully. He dealt with a different kind of business to mine. So funnily enough, I had the wonderful girls from Blue Money on my podcast not that long ago. That's a lie. It's probably a year or two now. And they were just so lovely and I felt so understood and heard. Having a good accountant has changed everything. So really finding someone who gets your way of doing business, has your risk tolerance and profile, and communicates the same sort of way as you, that means everything. Yesterday was the end of financial year, and I was able to pick her up on the phone and say, hey, I'm freaking out here. Please help. She got on the phone with me. She chatted. Having an accountant who gets you and has set up their business in a way that works the way you want it to work means everything. So I would say it's a really big decision to change accountants, but if you're not happy, it's worth looking elsewhere. Number 10. Now, I've been in marketing for a long time, so this one was an embarrassing lesson to learn. But a logo doesn't make a brand. So we have M from Sparrow Studio to thank for that one. But a logo doesn't make a brand. I have had the Bright Red Marketing brand for a very, very long time. My first logo was designed by a family friend. Second logo was designed by a really talented designer. Still love my logo, but we were sort of floundering in what that brand meant and what it looked like. Having a brand and actually having a visual identity and something that you stand for, I'm so excited for what comes next for us. I mean, if you haven't been to our website yet, I highly recommend checking it out. We're brightredmarketing.com.au. But the things that they've been able to do and the story that our website and that visual identity now tells, game changing. We see so many e-commerce stores with these beautiful websites, but unfortunately, it doesn't really say much. It's not really telling a story. There's nothing for people to connect with. That's the same problem we had. It's that you've got this beautiful site. What's it doing? Who's it talking to? So I'm so grateful to Em and the girls at Sparrow Studio because I think it's been game changing for us and will continue to be game changing. So yeah, if you just think you need a pretty logo and a pretty website, maybe go listen to Em's episode. So on that note, invest in your website and your brand photos. That all came across from the same thing. We realized very quickly that the website that we had and the photography we had just didn't do us justice. So as part of that brand piece, new photo shoot, new website, they all look very schmick now and we're very excited. Number 12, chasing the algorithm makes you a worse advertiser. Now, I have been doing this for a very long time. I was definitely not the first person on Facebook ads, but I was definitely in that early adopters run when ads first started to come out. We have so many conversations with people now that are, oh, the algorithm is doing this and the trend is this and this is happening and we need to change this. The strategy hasn't really changed. Yes, the algorithm has changed and there are some things in there that we need to do slightly differently, but there are new trends, new techniques, new gurus running new ideas every other day. The strategy doesn't really change. We are talking to people, humans are buying. The structure and the setup and the way we do things changes. The way we're running ad accounts now is wildly different to how we did it 2 years ago. So I'm not saying nothing changes, but you can't be in this constant cycle of trying to chase the next thing. The end of the day, the thing that works is testing, knowing your market, having a really good marketing strategy. And I will forever stand on that hill because every marketing guru tries to package and trademark some fancy technique that's going to make you think that their fancy technique is the thing that's working. At the end of the day, the thing that works in all marketing is testing, good strategy, knowing your audience. Yes, you have to know how the platform works. Yes, you have to know the sort of intricacies of the different mediums that you're using. But if you're constantly sort of trying to chase the next big trend and the next big update and, doing that, I think you're going to miss the boat on what's actually working and what's going to do well for your business. Consistency and knowing your brand and your marketing wins every single time. Number 13, you can hold your ground and still be kind. The saying, the customer is always right. We have forgotten that the customer is always right in matters of taste is the full quote. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, customers, you are not always right. And we have so many wonderful e-commerce store owners as clients who I feel like they have to do everything for these customers. And yes, it's really nice when you can go over and above your customers. It's really nice when you can do the nice thing. But at the end of the day, you can still hold your ground. We have returns policies. We have, your product does what your product does and it doesn't do what it doesn't do. You are allowed to hold your ground and still be kind. Again, perpetual people pleaser. It is okay to just be kind, but stand your ground. This is a boundaries thing. It's okay. You're allowed to stand by what you stand for and still be nice about it. And if the other person is not okay with that, that's more of a them problem than a you problem. And I think with e-commerce, it's really hard because, like the Iconic has, the greatest returns policy of all time. A small business can't match that, and you shouldn't be expected to match that. So I think it's okay to have your policies as long as they're reasonable and, just go about your business. We don't have to refund every single person who has a tantrum because they didn't read what they were buying. Have a good returns policy, stand by it. We'll move on. People are okay. Number 14, done is better than perfect. Look, I can't really say this is a lesson I've learned. This is a lesson I will forever be learning, but it is true. Done is better than perfect. If you can launch something, if you can get it off your to-do list, if you can just get it out in the world, so much better off than it sitting in your to-do list or in the I'll get to that someday page. So yeah, look, we need to be getting more things out there. And I will say, I do think with the rise of AI, a little bit of imperfection is going to be more appreciated coming into things. Number 15, and this is one that I will forever stand by, have fun and take the risk. I think business is scary and it's hard and everyone takes it as this big, scary, serious thing. It's okay to have fun. It's okay to have a laugh. It's okay to be a bit weird and quirky. It's okay to do things a bit differently. It's okay to actually have fun in your marketing and be a bit silly. People like seeing real personality. They like seeing the people. I don't think we need to be these perfect, fake, perfectly polished. Everything is, perfection. I think having a bit of fun with things, being honest, being a bit more authentic, I think is a really, really powerful thing. And especially from a marketing perspective, if you can have fun with your marketing, you're ahead of a million people because everything is so serious that if you can have a bit of a laugh and a little bit of joy, I think that just makes everything so much better. And number 16, which I'm very grateful is a lesson I did learn many, many years ago. Rest is not optional. Please take the holiday. We did not get into business to work more than is legally mandated in this country. Employees get minimum 4 weeks annual leave. As business owners, that should be the bare minimum. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to take the holiday. It's okay to close the phone. It's okay to not answer the phone call or reply to the email at 8:00 at night. A break is a good thing. So look, today I am just feeling so incredibly grateful for the journey that I have been on, the people that I have connected with, the businesses that we have gotten to help. And I'm just so grateful for everything that we have achieved. And I am so excited to see what happens next. So thank you for coming along for the ride and we'll chat soon.
Thank you for listening to the Bright Minds of E-commerce podcast. As always, you can find the show notes on our website at brightredmarketing.com.au. Just look for the podcast page. Thanks for listening.